20 years trading, including working at some of the world's leading institutions. Today, I want to share with you the 4 biggest lessons from my entire 20-year trading journey so that you don't make the same mistakes I did and you can actually become extremely profitable in a much shorter space of time than the time it took me to gain consistency. Now, you will notice an underlying theme in this video. I am going to tell you to do the opposite to what everyone else tells you to do. That's because being a sheep and doing what everyone else is doing isn't going to get you results. Doing the opposite is. So with that being said, the first lesson is perhaps the most important. Rule number 1, make the money you have currently set aside to put into trading go a long way. I cannot stress this enough. That money may be the only chance, the one shot you get to make it in this business, to make it out of the daily grind, the day job or part-time job that you perhaps find yourself in. Now, I understand you're desperate to get out of the situation you're in and make trading a significant part of your income. So why not give yourself the best chance of doing that by making your money last as long as possible? After all, research conducted not that long ago in 2020 showed that the average 20-day returns were around negative 5% for investors of a particular brokerage. Put another way, over 99% of traders fail. This all ties in perfectly to lesson 2, be prepared for the long haul. 99% of traders fail, as you just heard the facts speak for themselves. Put another way, less than 1% make it in this business, and to think that is not the case is simply delusional. The reason almost everyone fails is because they're literally in denial about that statistic, that black and white fact. The crazy thing is that the 99% failure statistic isn't actually a bad thing. That's because the irony is that people who fail don't realize that that 99% failure statistic is very valuable information that you can take advantage of. Let me show you what I mean. Here is what 99% of people think of that statistic. They accept it because it's common knowledge, but they somehow think they are the one person that reality doesn't apply to, and so they just ignore it and start utilizing their money way too early in the trading business. Let me show you how the 1% that do make it in trading think. They recognize that that 99% failure statistic reduces dramatically, but only once you factor in the amount of time someone spends on learning trading before they start trading their own capital. You know, if we just consider people who start putting real money into trading in the first 3 to 6 months, we can see that the failure rate is very high, i.e. 99%. But when we start looking at groups of traders who only start getting aggressive with their money after 1 year, maybe even 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the success rate shoots up astronomically. It's obvious why. Those people that wait a considerable period of time before trading their own money are giving themselves the chance to learn more. So when they do finally utilize the capital they have, it is a significantly more effective use of that capital. So let me ask you, are you prepared mentally for the long haul? Yes, you may get profitable in a year, but what if it takes 5 years? Are you prepared for that? As you can see, if you are not putting yourself in a very good position to make it out of your current situation. To me, it makes no sense to think any other way. I would rather take 5 years to leave my day job, but actually end up leaving it rather than rushing to try and become profitable in a short space of time, lose all my money, and never leave the day job for the rest of my life. This sets us up perfectly for rule 3. Stay on the simulator as long as possible. Can you see it all ties in together perfectly? How many people do you know stay on sim or on a demo account for any meaningful period of time? As soon as they make money on the sim, they think they're going to be the next millionaire, and it all comes crashing down. Why? Because they didn't follow rule number 2. 99% of traders fail unless you take into account the time taken before that first bit of serious money is put into trading. Take advantage of the simulator. It is the #1 mechanism that is going to get you to that part of the curve we spoke about earlier. It is going to keep you in the game whilst you hone your skills. You have no idea how lucky you are to be in a business with such low startup costs. Try opening a restaurant or other similar business tomorrow. You would need to risk around $50,000 on day one. And that's just for starters, because you would have to sign long-term commitments on that business. So if it didn't go well quickly, you are going to be in trouble. Trading has virtually no upfront cost and a simulator you can prove yourself and the business model on for free, yet no one does it. So let's summarize everything we've said today with the final rule. Rule number 4, do things differently to the crowd. Can you see every single one of those items I've told you about is the opposite of what most people do? 99% of people commit their money into trading way too early, whereas the 1% that do make it are really not that bothered if it takes 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 years to learn this business properly before they feel comfortable committing their capital. Better to leave the day job after 5 years and have the rest of your life trading than rush straight away and never be able to leave. Can you see why rule number 2 is so important? Being prepared mentally for the long haul. 99% of people are not, so when the going gets tough and they don't see the results as early as they would like, they are doomed. The 1% already prepare themselves mentally for the long haul, so when things do get tough in those early years, they smile, shrug their shoulders and carry on, knowing they are making their way slowly to the right part of the curve. And finally, the simulator. 99% of traders use it for such a short space of time that the results end up being meaningless even if they have a winning period. The market goes through many seasonal changes and variations. You need time to learn that. Only 1% of traders recognize that. So make a decision today. Do you want to be part of the 99% or part of the 1%? I think the decision's easy. If you have chosen to be part of the 1%, then check out this video here, which will help you develop an edge that will help accelerate your path towards where you want to be.